Today is a good day because today is the first day of a new series called Industry Talk, the show where I discuss the industry with people who know way more about certain subjects than I do. Today we're going to be talking with Amber Sherman, who is an independent filmmaker and director in New York City, as well as a fellow YouTuber.
So when we say, "Hey guys, I'm Amber."
Hi, my name is Amber.
Okay.
Well, Amber, it's really great to meet with you today, and why don't, just for those who aren't familiar with your YouTube channel or your work, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself and where you're living and current situation?
Alright, so hello everyone, my name is Amber, and I run a YouTube channel called the Amber Living Vlog / Beyond Film School, and I do videos on basically how to start a career in film, and I give advice, do's and don'ts, what you should be doing, what you should not be doing, if you want to keep getting hired. I live in the New York City area, and I work as a first assistant director on films, web series, short films, feature films, commercials. I've worked on a ton of different things in the industry. So
that's awesome. Is that like what you love doing? Is like behind the camera work type stuff? First AD, or what's like your dream role when it comes to that sort of thing?
Let's see. Dream position. Eventually, I mean, it's only a matter of time, but to be in the union, DGA, as a first assistant director.
Cool. What does DGA mean?
Directors Guild of America. It's basically the directors, UPM, and all the ADs, all the assistant directors. Like there's second assistant director, there's key second, there's second. If you have director near your name, you're basically going to be in the DGA. Okay.
So how's that? I know this is a little bit off topic of what I would like to talk to you about, but how is that different from a union? Because you said you want to be in the union, or are those the same thing? The DGA is the union. Yeah, so the DGA is, it's the guild, but it basically is what protects those people that are in it. I mean, it's making sure you get paid a certain wage, making sure that, you have health insurance, there's a pension, you're not being abused in some way. For example, they can't work you more than so many hours. You have to have a certain amount of rest, and if they do violate those hours and they affect your turnaround time is the time in between when you're off set and then when you go to set. So if they kind of violate those hours, what happens is you get hella paid. You get lots of money. You get lots and lots of money if they violate those certain rules that the DGA has put in place. Right. And so does SAG-AFTRA cover you too, or is that no? No. I mean, that's SAG-AFTRA is only for those people who belong to it. But I mean, and each SAG-AFTRA has so many different rules that the DGA might have. For example, our turnaround time, as an AD, we would only have an 8-hour turnaround, but for, first team, it's 12 hours. For background, it's 10 hours. So it just depends. There's so many different levels and so many different things that, that are just put in place to make sure they're protected. The purpose that I really wanted to talk with you over the internet right now is to talk about some of the connections, I guess, between the actors and directors, or the actors and the crew. Just sort of this relationship that we have with each other. I feel like you bring a very interesting perspective from someone who works a lot behind the camera and works with talent a lot, opposed to me, who has never worked as a director or behind the camera. So yeah, and there's lots of different questions that I want to ask you about that. So just to get started here, I guess just right off the bat, what are some of the things that you hate about working with actors or extras, talent in front of the camera?
Some things I just don't like. I really cannot deal with people who are high maintenance, that thinks everyone owes them something, or that they just need to be catered to for some odd reason. I mean, okay. Listen, I know that acting is super hard. It's like a crazy mental game that you're playing with yourself, and it really does take... I mean, I can see sometimes actors really getting exhausted after a long day, and they're just like mentally and emotionally just putting everything out there. I mean, you're put in this box, you're put in a room full of like hundreds of people, sometimes 50 people, sometimes 20, but either way, they're all staring at you. And you have to turn it on and you have to turn it off, and it's like, it's crazy. So I can understand why you need to be a little spoiled, but you know, the bad attitude sometimes, and just the, you know, like, I need my egg salad right now. Like I have some crazy stories, but what I just don't like is just when some, you know, people aren't, you know, all about taking care of themselves and they want to be spoiled. I'm just, you know, I guess I was raised just a little bit different, you know, so I'm just not a fan when someone wants someone to cater to them and stroke their ego and treat them as if they're like a little infant or something, you know. And I mean, there have been so many like actors that are respectful and they're so grateful and they're super nice, but then others are just, they're just not. Which like totally sucks.
No, yeah, I mean, it's the classic sort of diva actor, right? The stereotypical diva actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's understandable why that would be the number one thing you would hate. So it's funny because as actors, we talk about those people too. So even as other actors, we realize that there are versions of us out there that are just terrible to work with. So yeah. And then I guess now that we've talked about the negative stuff and gotten that out of the way, let's flip it. What are some of the things that you like most about working with actors?
I feel like there's the moment when you're watching the monitor and they're going through their scene and you just feel the emotion just jump out, you know, and it really, and they just, their performance just brings out so many emotions in you. It's like, that's my favorite part. It was like when they just bring a part to life, you know, and they make you feel stuff.
Yeah. Well, they like really connect with the part. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that too. It's funny because it gets me excited to do acting when like you're talking about it too, because that's the same reason why I love it as well.
Yeah.
And do you have any good stories about actors that you've worked with, or good or bad stories?
I remember one sticks out. His name is AJ, and he is in the Nissan commercials now. He's got like a national campaign, and he was playing, I think, he was like number 3 on the call sheet. So he was one of the like principal actors on this feature film I did 2 years ago called The Last. And like on one of the last days, he was like, you know, you're a really great AD. And I was like, oh my God. And this is a person that like we didn't really interact. It was mostly business. I went in and told him when he needed to be a hair and makeup, when he needed to be a set. And then he's like, you know, you just have that really good balance where it's like you're stern, but you're a people person at the same time. I was like, oh my God. It was like, you just don't, sometimes you may think that you didn't connect with anybody. And just because they're not saying it doesn't mean that you haven't, or that they don't recognize your hard work. So like, just like those little comments, like letting someone know that, you know, they're doing a good job. Like, he was like, oh, I'm so happy for him that he has like this national commercial too. He's like one of the actors that are like super nice. He was like very low maintenance, but you know, and the thing is when like going back to when someone is a high maintenance, but when someone is super respectful and super nice, I will go out of my way to service them. You know what I mean? Like when they're nice, I'll be like, do you need anything? What can I do for you? But if it's the flip side and if someone's nasty to me and they're high maintenance, I will give him to a PA or something. Like I am not dealing with that.
There's that interesting like dichotomy where like actors are like, no, I don't need any water. And everyone's like, do you need some water? But like, what can I get you? And then
exactly,
the actors are like, where's my water? And it's like, you're not getting it.
Yeah, no one wants to bring those people water.
I know, right? The next question that I just want to talk to you about is, do you think working behind the camera, we always talk about day jobs, right? Or the plan B job or what. Do you think working behind the camera would be a good option for an actor, or is that a good option for a day job, I guess, just in general?
I think that I remember someone telling me, and I don't remember who the hell it was, so but they said that a job on set is better than not having a job on set, whether it's their preferred one or not. So, and when I'm not an AD, I PA, right? And I help on set. I'd rather be on set than not on set, and I kind of believe in that. So as an actor, if you can't get on set as an actor, why not get on set as something else? PA, RPA, anything, director's assistant, because I feel like you can learn a lot about how the crew sees actors, how it all works, how it all comes together, how the crew works together, working behind the camera. You know what I mean? I feel like there's always something for you to learn, and I think that if you want to go further in film, some people are not going to be actors their whole life. Some people are, but some people aren't. So, what if you want to be a director or producer one day? I feel like that's just, why not learn the most you can? And I feel like if you're behind the camera, you're going to learn a lot.
I really agree with what you said, that it's best to work on set than off set, even if it's a job or a role that you don't necessarily appreciate.
Yeah.
I've talked about that as well on the acting side of things. Like, even if you don't get a part that maybe you thought you'd be better for, you're still getting set time. And
yeah, exactly.
So it's sort of the same principle. If the actors on my channel are watching, if they can't be cast in the film, why not be a PA and see why someone else did get cast in the film, or see
exactly.
Yeah. So now let's talk about why you like working on the film set. What's the thing that drew you to it? What do you like most about being on crew?
I like being a part of something bigger than me. I like helping someone that is creative, knowing that my strength is really in logistics and organization. Like, I know how to run a film set. I will get whatever time I can to get that person's shot. I'll make sure that they have what they need to make their story come to life. I love the fact that there's different people on every project. There's different places, different locations. There's just so many different things that I love, that there's, that variety of life, Yeah. So it's just like no day is the same, and I love that.
With your YouTube channel and sort of what you do here, you focus on the film industry. Most of it would be working behind the camera in different ways. So you're definitely the expert when it comes to things film related, especially on the crew side. And so I thought we could talk just a little bit more about that, especially for some of the actors or performers that are interested in that film. So just right off the bat, if I am someone who is interested in being a PA and being, I don't know, just any role of the crew, where would I go to even start doing that? How do I find work as a crew member?
As a crew member, first of all, I would talk to your key PA, seek out the person who is labeled key PA, tell them that you're interested in finding more production jobs and not acting jobs or whatever. You want to learn more about set. And, basically, if they hear you're here to learn, it's like, that's music to people's ears. Talk to your key PA and then let them know, if there's anything available, if you need any day players, just let them know, give them your number, and be like, I'm really interested, I want to learn. That's basically it. You talk to your key PA and you start as an additional day player PA.
Great. And so...
Yeah, because you're not going to walk up to, a gaffer or a director or even a producer's assistant and be like, hey, how can I jump on set? You're talking to the wrong people, because they're not going to give you the time of day. They're not going to care.
Yeah, they're too busy. Yeah, and so for those of us who don't know, what is the difference between a PA and a key PA?
Well, there's actually lots of levels. There's so many different... there's like a giant hierarchy. So at the bottom of the barrel is your everyday super green PA, day player, additional PA. And then on top of that is an everyday additional PA. Above that is a staff PA. Above that is a... I could break it down. So staff PAs there's a background runner PA, background helper, there's a first team runner PA, there's a walkie PA, there is a... a floater PA that's usually on every day. and there is did I say first team helper, I think. And then there's a paperwork PA as well. So on top of that, a key PA, they are, the top PA, even though they get paid the same. Depends on what show you're working on and what movie you might be working on. But a key PA is basically the one that is not in charge of all the PAs, but the key PA will be in charge of all the additional PAs, if that makes sense. Usually the key PA and the paperwork PA and like the background runner PA and the first team runner PA, they're kind of all on the same level, but they all have different responsibilities, if that makes sense.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, the PA just means production assistant, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So yeah, and so you would say that's also sort of the application process as well, right? Is there like a resume you need to bring when talking to the key PA, or do you just show up and say, "Hey, I'm a go-getter"?
Yeah, a lot of people are like, "Oh, what do I do? Should I do this?" I'm all about the hustle, and there's so many people out there that remember how they had to hustle, so they appreciate the hustle. So when someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, I'm trying to be a PA on this and that, what can I do?" I'll just take their phone number. Don't hand me a resume. I don't give a shit about your goddamn resume. If you want to be a PA, I don't really care what your experience is. The fact that you walked up to me and was like, "Hey, I want to be a PA," that tells me way more than your resume can, to be honest. So, people have done that where they had like hard copies of their resume and they've handed them out and whatever, but that usually doesn't. You have to talk to a physical person and say, "Hey," and then give them your number or something. More so than just, "Here's my resume, check it out."
Right. And I guess that comes to another question. When it comes to experience and I guess experience in trying to find work on the crew, is it important to go to film school, or like what percentage of people working in the film industry do you think went to film school? Does it benefit them?
I feel like this is such a loaded question. My channel is called Beyond Film School, so it's like, for me, I feel like if you go to film school, it can help you. You'll learn a lot, you'll learn about film theory, you'll get your hands on a camera, you'll hopefully make a few short films or something, hopefully, or, maybe a couple documentaries, and you'll have a couple clients, but there are so many things that film school doesn't cover when you're on a real set. Film terms, for example, what etiquette is like, even having like a walkie, for example. I feel like there's just they focus on like, okay, producer, director, DP are the three main things they cover. Everything else is kind of like, what do they do? No one has any idea. Like, no one really teaches what an AD does. I think maybe at Full Sail they teach what like ADs do. Like, I didn't even know what an AD was until I was on a feature film set as an AC, as assistant camera. So there's just so many things that you just don't know about when you go through film school or film production. So I honestly don't know the percentage of people like who have gone to film school and who haven't that are in the industry right now. So I don't have the stats on that. I don't know what I can, we can probably look it up. We can probably Google it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just don't believe that you need film school you need life experience to make movies. You need to have some type of artistic creative ability, obviously, because this is an art form. Film's an art form. So, like, art school, I think that's good enough. Film school, I don't think, I'm not completely against it, but I just am a very firm believer that you don't need it to be successful in the film industry.
So, with someone who is just starting out at the bottom of the ladder, which is a PA, how much on average do you think they would be making each workday?
Well, if they're on a union set, they make $15 an hour in New York City. I don't know what the minimum wage is in California. Usually PAs are getting your state minimum wage or county minimum wage. So right now in New York City it's $15 per hour or $22.50 for overtime. Let's see, you're going to be working... And that's for it's like $210 for 12 hours. So even if you only work 6 hours, you're guaranteed $210. So if they cut you early, you still get paid for 12 hours, which is great. And then if you work more than 12 hours, you're 14, 15, 16 hours, you get all that overtime. So you're looking at maybe your first week, say you work 5 days a week, 70, 75 hours, you're going to go home with probably like $950 that week.
Yeah. Wow. And that sounds like a great option. Like for someone
but the thing is though, is that you're working so many hours, you have literally no life.
Yeah. So it does seem like a good option for a starting position, right? Like you're going to earn money. It's not like an internship or something. You can start earning money right off the bat.
But that's only when you get on a union show. So if you're in the indie world, you can earn like, some people are trying to pay PAs $50 a day, $75 a day, $100, $150, $125. So it really depends on what set you're trying to get on. Because union's great. That's going to be, you know, guaranteed 12. But indie, it's just a little bit more like, can get kind of, you don't know what you might be getting. So basically, just, you have no idea.
Yeah. Okay. And that's I would say that's the same for the actor side of thing too. Acting in an indie film is going to earn you way less than a uni film. So
yeah.
What's the thing that drew you to it? What do you like most about being on crew?
I like being a part of something bigger than me. I like helping someone that is creative, knowing that my strength is really in logistics and organization. Like, I know how to run a film set. I will get whatever time I can to get that person shot. You know, I'll make sure that they have what they need to make their story come to life. I love the fact that there's different people on every project. There's different places, different locations. There's just so many different things that I love, that there's, you know, that variety of life, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just like no day is the same, and I love that.
Great. And if there was like one thing you could change about the film industry, what would you change?
I don't want to work 15 hours every day. That's probably my only thing. It's like that. I just wish I could, you know, we could make a movie in 8 hours instead of 12, 14, 15 hours. But I know that just doesn't happen that way.
What do you think is like the hang up? Like what takes so long?
Man, art takes time.
Yeah.
It just takes time. There's so many moving parts, you know? There's so many things. And, you know, when it could be the actor's fault. It could be the director's fault. It could be the AD's fault. It could be so many different reasons why the day takes so long. I like to blame the director. But, you know, I mean, it's not always the case. It could be, I mean, most of the time, it's usually the DP that takes the most time. For sure. It's the DP.
Yeah.
It's usually his fault or her fault.
Making sure everything looks really good.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's funny because I've been on so many sets where it's like, the director is happy, the AD is like, let's go, and the DP is like, no, I need to fix this light. It's like, no, the director's happy and the client's happy, we should be shooting.
And if there was like one thing you could change about the film industry, what would you change?
I don't want to work 15 hours every day. It's just, that's probably my only thing. It's like that, I just wish I could, you know, we could make a movie in 8 hours instead of 12, 14, 15 hours. But I know that just doesn't happen that way.
What do you think is like the hang up? Like what takes so long?
Man, art takes time.
Yeah.
It just takes time. There's so many moving parts, you know? There's so many things. And, you know, when it could be the actor's fault. It could be the director's fault. It could be the AD's fault. It could be so many different reasons why the day takes so long. I like to blame the director. But, you know, I mean, it's not always the case. It could be, I mean, most of the time, it's usually the DP that takes the most time. For sure. It's the DP.
Yeah.
It's usually his fault or her fault.
Making sure everything looks really good.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's funny because I've been on so many sets where it's like, the director is happy, the AD is like, let's go, and the DP is like, no, I need to fix this light. It's like, no, the director's happy and the client's happy, we should be shooting.
Yeah. So another thing that we talk a lot about in the acting world just that we discuss between each other is sort of our standard of projects that we'll work on and projects that we won't work on. And like just for an example, like what sort of parts are we gonna play? Are we gonna, like Jackie Chan? He has dedicated himself to only playing wholesome, like, hero type parts. He won't play any villains, which is kind of funny. But like, how far are you gonna go with risque content or like adult content? Are you only gonna be in PG films, PG-13, R-rated? Like, so I was wondering, is there a similar dialogue with the crew, or are there, like, can you talk a little bit about the standards that maybe you have working in the film industry?
I mean, for me, it's not really the story. It's not the story. It's usually how I'm treated by the producers. If there is just, I know we are just not gelling and it's just not going to work. I know it's going to be a horror show on the day we're shooting. It's just going to be a shit show, and I just don't want to deal with producers I know aren't going to have my back. So for crew members, it's more who are you willing, so for crew members, it's more about how much bullshit are you willing to deal with? Who are you going to bend over backwards for? And it's not going to be someone who treats you like shit. You know what I mean? So for us, it's more like, who do we prefer to work with, and how much can we tolerate? A lot of people, their red flags go off when it's a first-time director or a first-time producer. It's like, nope, they need to try that on someone else. So that's usually, it's not usually the story. It's usually like how they go about, making that movie, basically, if that answers your question. I think that does.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. So it's more about just the way you get treated as a professional on set.
Yeah.
The people you work with in that regard. Okay. And have you ever said no to a project because of that, or?
I mean, I've walked away from certain projects because of it, yeah. I mean, I initially was like, yeah, this should be fine, and then it just doesn't work out for, one reason or the other. Yeah. It happens.
Well, great, Amber. I really appreciate talking with you. A lot of these questions I've been wanting to ask for a while, so it was really interesting hearing your side of it and your funny stories, but also sort of the nitty-gritty of the film work, especially from someone coming from New York. So if you are interested in doing more on the film side of things, or if you're wanting to follow Amber in her work in New York, check out Beyond Film School, her YouTube channel, as well as her website, beyondfilmschool.com. Links to both of those will be in the description. And yeah, I don't know, Amber, is there anything else we should cover before I let you go?
I don't think so. I think that's good. I think it's been a really, you've picked my brain. I feel like I've enlightened you.
I feel so enlightened right now, so. Well, great. Well, thank you, Amber. And yeah, thank you so much, and I guess I'll talk to you later then.
Thank you.
Yep, for sure. Bye. If you have any questions about the film industry for Amber or for myself, just leave them in the comments below and we'll do our best to answer every question. If you like more videos like these where we discuss the acting, modeling, film, theater industries, why don't you subscribe to the channel? Remember to enter the monthly giveaway, and as always, break a leg. When they